You have been waylaid by enemies and must defend yourself.
Hey everyone, AlteredCalyx here, and today we're doing a quick review of Baldur's Gate 3. I feel like everyone and their pet owlbear knows about this game, but here are some details about it anyway. This game was released August 3rd, 2023 by Larian Studios, and it's a fantasy RPG set in the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Let's set the stage. I played Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 back when they were first released. I loved the games and even did multiple playthroughs. The Baldur's Gate 3 had some pretty big expectations to live up to and nostalgia to overcome. Alright, let's move on. Of course I played this on launch, the hype was just too big. I played on Tactician, the hardest difficulty, and created my beautiful, half-high elven Archfey Warlock. Isn't she so pretty? Okay, back to the game. I didn't look up any spoilers or guides, I wanted a fresh perspective going to the game. Fast forward 260 hours, and I finally finished my first playthrough. It probably would have been longer if I didn't lose steam in Act 3. More on that later. So what did I like about Baldur's Gate 3? First off, character creation. It took me about 2 hours to make my first custom character. There were many little details to customize and make my character just how I wanted her. Again, the end result was worth it. Wouldn't you agree? Secondly, the hard fights. I love challenging fights, and there were some memorable ones in our adventure. Not gonna lie, I did experience some power creep, and I felt the game became a little too easy towards the end, even on Tactician. The music and voice acting in this game were amazing. Sometimes I would just stop and listen to the songs, especially ones that had lyrics. Some of the combat was unexpected, but in a good way. For example, be careful where you stand, because you can get punted off a bridge. Wish I would have thought of that first. There are barrels filled with random stuff that can be used in battle. Who hasn't seen the Halfling Barbarian YouTube video by now, right? You can also stack items such as boxes, crates, barrels, etc. Remember Matt Mercer stacking 45 boxes to go over a wall? I loved how there wasn't just one solution to a problem. You can get creative in how to deal with the environment and enemy. Sometimes there was no fight at all. The game was intuitive enough for most things that I didn't have to look up almost anything. I didn't have to look up any leveling guides and was able to choose feats how I wanted to play without min-maxing. I always think that's refreshing. There were a couple of things I did look up, like how to stop concentrating on a spell, especially after battle. Once I had a flaming sphere follow us around after a fight and it kept burning us. Fresh tip, if you're concentrating on a spell, there will be an icon down in the bottom left of your portrait at the bottom of the screen. Another thing I looked up was about a certain furry camp friend. He was missing from camp and I couldn't find him. Turns out he was stuck behind a training dummy at camp in Act 2. Fresh tip, throw the ball for him to fetch. There's a lot of replayability since there are other companion stories to experience, different alignments to try out, different party compositions to try, multiplayer, dark urge, honor mode, etc. I could go on about why I love Baldur's Gate 3 so much, but let's try to keep this video under 30 minutes. And now we get to the not so good parts about Baldur's Gate 3. So while Act 1 was a ton of fun, the cracks started showing in Act 2. For example, my companions' movements needed more micromanagement because they didn't always follow. A lot of it was due to elevation or invisible obstacles. And Act 3 had more of those movement issues and a lot more bugs, and it sadly ruined my immersion. There were a few quests I wasn't able to complete, which kind of irked me, and then there were quests that auto-completed that confused me. The quests and story just seemed more disjointed in Act 3. One thing I would have preferred was a larger party size. I know there are mods out there that can increase the party size, but then I'd want a harder difficulty to go along with it. Plus, for any new game, I like to play how the devs envisioned it. Another thing that was a bit tedious was swapping out party members. I had to initiate conversation with a companion in my current party and choose an option for them to leave. Then I had to walk to a new companion, initiate conversation, and then choose an option for them to join. As you can see, it wasn't very fun. Additionally, something that was cumbersome was selling to merchants. I couldn't use shift or control click on items in inventory to sell multiple items. I had to double click on each item to sell or trade. The shift or control plus clicking concept already exists to sort party members' inventory, so why not extend it to selling? There's an add to wares options, but it's not the same thing. A couple more things to comment on. One of which is the writing in Baldur's Gate 3 that I felt was kind of simplistic and lacking, especially for my custom character. The origin characters had great stories, but my custom character, it seemed like I was just going through the motions. Fresh tip, try choosing the Dark Urge for a more intense story. The final thing I want to mention was the aggressive romance. I know they've tuned this down since I've played, but at the time it was ruining my immersion. It's like I couldn't be a nice person and I had to choose the rude option, otherwise they take it as a cue to begin seduction.
Warning.
Seduction.
Sequence has been initiated.
Also, sometimes I purposely did not choose a dialogue option that sounded leading, but the next time I talk to the companion, it's as if I did choose that option. For example, a certain someone in camp asking about drinking the night before. Needless to say, I chose to be alone in this game. So now we come to the TLDR. Is Baldur's Gate 3 worth your time? Yes. Despite my long laundry list of issues with the game, it's still a fantastic game and I had a blast playing it when the game would let me. It's a visually beautiful game with lots of replayability potential, and I loved how there wasn't just one solution to a problem. You can get creative in how to deal with the enemy or environment. Sometimes there was no fight at all. Plus, it's now 4 months later and Larian is still putting out patches and bug fixes to make it even better. So if you haven't tried the game yet, it'll be an even greater experience for you. So there you have it. I definitely recommend the game. It's gotten a lot of hype for a good reason. Try it out for yourself and see why. Get it, play it, profit. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in for my quick review of Baldur's Gate 3. Hope you found it helpful. Remember, play the game. Don't let the game play you. Loot first, talk later. I'll catch you guys next time. Heart, bye.